Okay, guys, we're going to get started by learning about the Anglo-Saxon period in the Middle Ages. This is the first section of literature that we're going to cover in English 4. So let's get started with the introduction here. There have been many Britons throughout history. The first Britain, existing before the 5th century AD, was ruled by Celtic tribes that Julius Caesar described as strange and barbaric. While the Roman Emperor Caesar failed to conquer these Britons in 55 BC, Emperor Claudius succeeded 90 years later. So he and his forces finally defeated the Britons in 44 AD. And at that point, the Roman Empire now included Britain. So this second Britain was a Romano-Celtic world in which the Romans introduced a way of living that was a little more advanced than the Celtic tribes had known. They also introduced a new language, Latin, and a new religion, Roman Catholicism. As their empire began to crumble, the Romans left Britain to defend Rome, which left the Britons easy prey to invading Germanic tribes, collectively known as the Anglo-Saxons. These spear-wielding warriors soon drove the Britons into the mountains and claimed Britain as their own. The warrior epic Beowulf, which we'll take a look at, sprang from the Anglo-Saxon culture, as did the word England, or land of the Angles. So now we're on to the Norman conquest of 1066. William the Conqueror introduced the economic and political system of feudalism. Fierce feudal conflicts ensued until some 150 years later, when rich Anglo-Norman barons forced the unpopular King John to sign the Magna Carta in 1215. By this document, monarchs no longer wielded absolute power. So the shift began a move toward civil rights that soon led to the first Parliament. This England, the fifth Britain, gave us Sir Gawain and the Green Knight and Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. These 5 very distinct Britons and the violent clashes, invasions, and calamities that formed each one of them also helped form England's great literary tradition. So let's just look at it on a really quick timeline. So first we have the Britons, the Celtics, who basically controlled the Isles of Britain from about 1000 BC to 44 AD. They were a tribal people who made bronze axes and worshiped mystical gods. Then we ended up with the Romans, the Romano-Celtic period from 44 AD to 449 AD. These were cultivated people who brought Latin and monotheism via Roman Catholicism to the British Isles. And then we've got the Anglo-Saxons, the Germanic peoples from 449 to 1066 AD. These were warrior people who brought Germanic customs and tongues or languages that eventually yielded to Old English. Next are the Normans or the French invaders from 1066 AD to 1215 AD. They were politically organized people who brought the European system of feudalism. And finally, the Brits or the Anglo-Normans from 1215 AD to 1485 AD. These were a blended people who combined all the aspects of the cultures that had come and gone throughout the Isles and created a distinct literature from it. And eventually, this is what's going to evolve into what we know as Britain today.